Hey guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to another Super 6 predictions video. It's the final match week of the 23-24 Premier League season as the relegation fight, top four and title race is pretty much sorted now as far as I'm concerned, to be honest. I mean, if West Ham could somehow get a result against Man City, I would be absolutely buzzing with that, which I'll get onto in a bit. The Championship playoff final has been confirmed between Leeds and Southampton, so whoever wins will join Leicester and Ipswich in the top flight next season. Also, my friend Zach, who featured previously, will make his second appearance on the channel. And yes, I know he's not here with me right now as he was unable to attend due to his work commitment, which is fine. He did kindly send me over short video clips of his score predictions for this round, which I will then upload onto here soon. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he's got to say. I only got 6 points in the previous round, so let's see how I do in round 55. So let's get straight into the first game. 115 Charges FC are close to winning their fourth straight title, with this also being David Moyes' final game in charge for West Ham. I mean, honestly, if they actually ruin City's title hopes and spoil their party, it would legit be the biggest upset of all time. But let's be real, that's very unlikely at this stage. Well, let's start with West Ham. They won for the first time after beating Luton 3-1 at home. That's irrelevant. You know, look at West Ham's away form in their past 5 games. They got battered against Crystal Palace and Chelsea, conceding 10 in those 2 games. They fell behind against Luton at home. Honestly, what makes you think that West Ham will take the lead at the Etihad? If you honestly believe that West Ham will get something from this game, then you are simply deluded, right? Man City, I said this before, they are world class for a reason. They're consistently good, right? Pep Guardiola, unreal manager. The players at his disposal are world class. I mean, what more can I say? I mean, I'm a realist and I say things as they are. I can't just be biased saying, oh yeah, West Ham, I'm sure West Ham will nick a 3-0 win. Yeah. No. This is Man City we're talking about here. And so, seriously, what more can I say? I mean, Man City's overall form in their past 5 games has been really good, right? No one can stop them. That's a simple fact. They have been a dominant force in the Premier League over the past 4 seasons. In fact, since 2012 when they first won it. Since then, dominant for most of it. And yeah, I mean, what I will say though is Luton and Wolves did score at the Etihad, so I'll give West Ham a goal. I mean, you got players like Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta. West Ham have better attacking players than Wolves and Luton. So I'll give West Ham a goal. But also the fact that, like I just said, they conceded 5 against Palace, Chelsea. This Man City team are more than capable of scoring 5, if not more. So do you know what? I'll just go for a 5-1 win. Congrats, Man City. You've won the title. Well done.
Now, both sides, obviously, as you can tell, forms are contrasted. Man City, yet again at this stage of the season, they look unstoppable, and there's hardly any team that will take off points any of them. The only team that stands between them and the title is West Ham United at home. David Moyes' side going to the final day, and also the final game in charge for David Moyes as West Ham manager. But of course, if you want my honest opinion, I have a feeling that Manchester City will just edge this game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. And the main reasons for that is that Manchester City at this stage of the season is just unstoppable. And going back into the previous final day drama, they've come back from behind to win in the end. So against QPR in 2012, against Brighton in 2019, and also against Aston Villa in 2022 when they were 2-0 down. So, but no, I do think West Ham, despite giving their best efforts, I still feel Man City will have the quality and the experience to get there over the line. So I'm going to predict 2-1 to Manchester City.
This will be Jurgen Klopp's final Liverpool game after 9 years in charge, so they're looking to end the season on a high with a win by giving him a proper send-off. As for Wolves, they're just chilling mid-table with nothing to play for. Well, let's start with Wolves. They lost 3-1 at home against Palace, which made it 3 home defeats in their last 5 games. They've had a tough run of fixtures against the likes of Arsenal, Man City, even Crystal Palace, the good form they're in at the moment. But yeah, overall, their form's been poor and they face a very tough trip to Anfield, which will be a long day in the office for them. As for Liverpool, they're going into this game in better winning form. Yeah, their away form's not been great either, but that's irrelevant. They're at home and they're going to want to put on a really good show for Klopp. But yeah, I mean, overall, like Klopp's been brilliant. He won the Premier League during the COVID lockdown season, the Champions League in 2019, and a few other bits of silverware. I feel like his personality suited Liverpool in terms of his energy, passion, relationship with the fans. He got along with them really well, and he just installed that winning mentality into the club. Like when he first took charge back in October 2015, he had average players in his disposal, but then when he brought in, Salah, Mane, Firmino, like even Van Dijk, he completely rebuilt Liverpool into a winning team. Like at one point they made Anfield into a fortress, where they went so many home games unbeaten. And yeah, listen, fair play to him. He's done very well, and yeah, all the best to him in the future. I thought Liverpool still have some defensive issues. I mean, Liverpool, they were 3-1 up at one point against Villa. Before that game, Liverpool were already mathematically out of the title race, so there was really no need for them to be 3-1 up against a side who were actually trying to cement top 4. And yeah, they still have some defensive issues, and I feel Wolves will probably might score a late consolation or something, but it won't matter much to Liverpool anyway. So I'm going 4-1 Liverpool.
The final game for Jurgen Klopp as Liverpool manager, having won 8 trophies, won every single trophy possible, except sadly for the Europa League, which I felt was the season that Liverpool would win the Europa, but wasn't to be. But now, what a job that Jurgen Klopp has done at Liverpool, and after 9 years in charge, he is going to be a very tough act to follow. Whoever's going to step in as manager, I think it'll be Arne Slot, who will be the next manager at Liverpool. Now, Wolves have been hard done by with VAR this season, but sadly they lost their last home game of the season by 3-1 against Crystal Palace. Having said that, Gary O'Neill has done a really good job with them, having been sacked by Bournemouth as well early in the season. However, on the balance of play, Wolves will fancy themselves nicking off at least a point against Liverpool, because Liverpool's form in the last 7 games of the season, by their standards, has been really poor. But they have overachieved at the same time, having had a really poor season last season themselves. So I'm going to predict on the final, as is the final day, and for Liverpool hoping to do well for Klopp's final game of this in charge, I'm going to predict a 3-1 Liverpool win, just like it was in 2022.
If you're an Arsenal fan hoping for West Ham to produce a masterclass, get this in your heads. It won't happen. Just accept the fact that we'll finish second. Well, let's see. Both sides are going into this game in very similar form. Everton, you're up first. 4 wins in their last 5 games. However, all of their wins came from home. As for Arsenal, yeah, cool. 5 wins in a row, scoring goals, defending well. That's fine. But it's like, what annoys me about Arsenal is that towards the latter stage of a season, we crumble under pressure. Last season, we drew 3-3 at home against Southampton in a game that we should have won. Lost 1-0 away at Forest. We played at Thomas Partey at right back, which clearly didn't work. Last month against Aston Villa, when we lost 2-0 at home, that defeat was unacceptable. If Trossard had scored that chance from 3 yards out, it would have been a complete different game. And we would have built more momentum, but that didn't happen. And yeah, I mean, look, I think Arsenal, they've had a very good season, but the only obstacle standing in their way is Man City, and it is what it is, isn't it? So yeah, we'll just have to go. We'll just have to be strong again next season. Just bounce back and hopefully go one step further. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go for 3-0 Arsenal.
That Arsenal have to win and hope that Man City slip up. It's a game that Arsenal needs to win to keep their title hopes alive. Now, they know it's a tough task because Man City have also won their previous game in hand, which was against Tottenham Hotspur this past Tuesday. Everton also, they've picked up a really good run of form, especially the way they've responded to the Chelsea 6-0 defeat at the Stamford Bridge. Now, of course, Arsenal will need a helping hand from West Ham United, from David Moyes on his final game of charge, to get something from that game, but it is a tough task in hand. Now, with Arsenal, they have a really solid defensive record of 2024, plus one goal better goal difference against Man City going into the final day. Everton, under Sean Dyche, what a turnaround he's had after having their points deducted twice this season and also have been inconsistent throughout. But they've guaranteed safety, but for me, I think it's a tough task for Everton to help Man City in hand in order for them to win the league. So let's see what happens. But I think for this game, I think it's going to be a 3-0 win for Arsenal.
Looking at this fixture, Man United need something more from this than Brighton do. A win for Man United, as long as Newcastle lose, would get them into the Conference League. As for Brighton, they're just chilling with nothing to play for. Right, so let's start with Brighton first. They lost 2-1 at home against Chelsea. Their overall form lately has been okay, just been average. Yeah, as for Man United, they picked up a big win against Newcastle during the week. If they had dropped points, they would have missed out on European football, and that would not have looked good for the future of the club. Yeah, so the way I see this, right, is that if Newcastle either draw or lose against Brentford and Man United win this game, they'll finish 7th. But it's all mathematically possible to finish 6th, in the Europa League, because let's say even if Chelsea lose against Bournemouth on the final day and United win, Man United would have to score at least probably 12 or more goals, and hopefully Chelsea get battered to finish 6th. But that's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, if Man United seriously want European football, they've got to at least clinch get Conference League. But again, they've got Man City in the FA Cup final on the 25th, so maybe that's probably worth more to them than this, if I'm honest. Yeah, I mean, Brighton. I mean, when you look at the fact that they drew 1-1 away at Newcastle, I did not expect that whatsoever. Great point for them, actually. Then to lose against Chelsea, it's like, how did Chelsea score twice away, yet Newcastle couldn't do the same at St James's Park? Yeah. So I think I'll go for a draw. Actually, I might go for a draw. I'm feeling a draw, if I'm honest. Going for 2-2.
Now, for me personally, it is a bit of a dead rubber game. Both teams are in bad run of form. Both squads depleted of injuries, and both futures of both managers are hanging in the balance. De Zerbi's future is questionable at Brighton. He's been linked with all the top teams, but based on the bad run of form of late, it's unlikely what the situation he's going to go through, whether he'll leave or stay at Brighton. That remains to be seen. A lot of players have been injured. The bad run of form has been evident, and the way they've exited of the Europa League as well. Even though they haven't been playing badly in terms of playing some good football, but also ultimately it's all about getting results. As for Manchester United, well, it's been a disaster for them. I was furious when they drew with Liverpool 2-2. As a Liverpool fan, it was a game that they should have won. Liverpool against United, they should have capitalised on it. But Liverpool gave them hope by giving away too many mistakes and conceding cheap goals. But it still hasn't taken away the fact that United have been really poor, and their last defeat was against Arsenal at Old Trafford. Even though they didn't play bad, but they should have done a lot better. Um, but yeah, if I'm going to be real, I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. I just don't see both teams win on the final day. United could get a last minute winner who's we'll have to wait and see, but I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw.
Spurs missed out on top four, however claimed Europa League for next season after their midweek home defeat against Man City. There I was thinking, Tottenham are Man City's bogey team. Man City's away record at Tottenham's ground has not been great in recent years, and I was hoping for at least a draw. Well, that didn't happen, did it? Well, let's have a look at this. Both sides are going into this game in very similar losing form. Sheffield United, 5 defeats in a row. They've had an absolute stinker of a season. Certainly one to forget for sure. They conceded just over 100 goals, which is the highest ever. So yeah, based on that, they simply deserve to go down. As for Tottenham, right, when they beat Burnley at home, I thought, okay, cool. They can build on that momentum towards the Man City game. However, not only they fell behind, but Van de Ven scored in the 82nd minute, and they later held on to win. I thought, a 2-1 win against Burnley, really? You've got Man City coming up. There is no way Tottenham will beat Man City, so I was hoping for at least a draw. That's me being honest. But then, yeah, again against Man City, I thought Tottenham actually played really well. They attacked well. They pressed with high intensity, and they gave it a good go, but it wasn't enough. And they knew what was at stake. There was Champions League up for grabs. I mean, they had to win and hope Villa lost against Liverpool. Well, Villa drew, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. If Spurs had beaten Man City, they would have been only 2 points behind Villa. So, yeah, I mean, I think what I will say as well is the fact they could finish 5th without, this is their first full season without Harry Kane. I think to finish in that position is actually really good for them. And, yeah, I mean, like, again, you got Spurs fans celebrating Man City's goals. I mean, listen, I get the Spurs fans wanted their own team to lose, but it's like to stop Arsenal from winning the title. I get that. I mean, if it was the other way around, I would have been the same, let's be honest. But, it's like you had top 4 up for grabs, you bowled it, but you got Europa League, which is better than Conference League, so fair enough. But yeah, I mean, this should be a winnable game for Tottenham, and yeah, 3-1 Tottenham.
Sheffield United, what can I say? It's been a very disappointing season, and they deserve to go down. I can't say anything else than that. So, but let's see what happens with Chris Wilder. He said he's going to promise to change the culture of the club in the summer. That remains to be seen. But they have had some good moments, but they just haven't been able to take the big moments when it matters most. But they're already relegated anyway to the Championship. But let's see what happens in the new season. For Tottenham Hotspur, well, Ange Postecoglou has called them out. I mean, what team would want to lose to Man City and then in the hope that Arsenal don't win the league? Like, come on, that is just embarrassing. I mean, I have a few I have a few friends who are Tottenham fans, but it's out of order to call your team out and lose badly in the hope that Arsenal don't win it. Like, come on, you're fighting for top 4. You blew that chance now. You got Europa League football now to play for, or even worse, the Conference League. If let's say Chelsea finish 5th place, or even Newcastle in that matter. But I still think it's a game that Spurs can win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Tottenham Hotspur.
For the first time in 41 years, Aston Villa qualified for the Champions League. Finally, about time. As for Crystal Palace, they currently sit mid-table, aiming to make a very late push for top 10. Well, let's have a look. Crystal Palace, 4 wins in their last 5 games. Their overall form has been brilliant. Olise, Eze, Mateta producing the goods by scoring goals. Since Oliver Glasner has came in, he's done a brilliant job. he managed to get the best out of them that Roy Hodgson and Patrick Vieira couldn't do. I mean, Mateta, if you think about it, Mateta has scored more goals in 5-6 months under Glasner than Hodgson and Vieira combined in 2 years. So he's definitely improved up front. And if they carry on this form into next season, who knows, they could make maybe a Conference League or even a Europa League push. But as for Aston Villa, their form's been okay. Ollie Watkins, he's on 19 goals. He's aiming to get at least 20, if not more. But this is also a game where Villa don't really need to win. Because even if Villa lose and Tottenham win, Tottenham will not mathematically catch up with Villa. So, yeah, I think it's only logical to go for Crystal Palace at this rate. They've been brilliant, and if other results go their way, let's say if Bournemouth lose against Chelsea, Brighton draw against United, that should be enough for them to finish in the top 10. So I'm going 2-1 Crystal Palace.
Now, with Crystal Palace, obviously they're ending their season with their last home game of the season. A massive 3-1 win for them against Wolves away. That just sums up the form they're in. They picked up 16 points out of a possible 18 in the last 6 games. That is a fantastic achievement for Crystal Palace under Oliver Glasner. And they also played well against Manchester City also, even though they lost 4-2. But I must admit, hopefully they stick with this man, Oliver Glasner. If they give him the backing to bring in his players, let's see. Who knows? He'll guide them to places. Another manager that's guided Aston Villa to history is, Unai Emery. They've already confirmed finishing in top 4, so they're now playing Champions League football. And to be fair, they deserve it based on the season they've had. Based on how consistent they've been this season. Unai Emery writing off the doubters and finishing in top 4 is a magnificent achievement. And unfortunately, they've been unlucky to have been knocked out by Olympiacos, who was too good for them in the semi-final. But what an amazing season they've had, Aston Villa. But I think based on both forms, I'm going to predict a 3-3 draw. It's a game where Villa, the character of both Aston Villa and Crystal Palace have been really, really good. Crystal Palace, as I said, massive 16 points out of the last 18. And Aston Villa, the way they've shown character, especially in that previous game against Liverpool, will see it through as a draw. So for me, I'm going to predict 3-3.
Since Euro 2024 is coming up soon, I did receive this notification from Super 6 saying that there will be 4 additional rounds during the tournament, which I'm looking forward to predicting. It's going to be fun. I mean, hopefully it'll be something to remember if I win that jackpot, but only time will tell, fingers crossed. Anyway, those are my round 55 score predictions locked in. Feel free to leave yours in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and thanks for watching.